Did you even pause to think for a second about the logic of dropping 4 trailers for Avengers Doomsday, a whole 11 months before it hits theaters later this year? Are they just blowing smoke? Or do the Russo brothers have some calculated, master-level strategy cooking behind the scenes? In this video, I'm about to deep dive into some serious overthinking and conspiracy theories that honestly have a super high chance of being completely wrong. But let's break it down piece by piece, all right? So look, the Russo brothers were brought back on board to direct Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. But ever since they showed up, I've been sounding like a broken record. How on earth do you cram a massive, sprawling epic like Secret Wars into just one movie? Then reports started leaking out that the Russos actually want to make a 4-hour Secret Wars cut, but Disney isn't letting them. The reason is super simple. From a marketing and financial standpoint, it's useless to them. They can't pack in as many showtimes in a day, which means it won't pull in as much cash. Plus, they'd be forced to slap an intermission in there, which they absolutely don't want to do. So the Russos were like, fine, if we can't do a 4-hour movie, let's just split this thing into 2 parts. Drop one in December 2027 and the other in 28. For Disney, this is another massive headache, because greenlighting 2 movies means the already insane money they're sinking into this will skyrocket even more. And post-Endgame, Disney does not want to take that kind of massive risk. They tried, but things weren't received that well and weren't that profitable, so they are sweating it right now. So the Russos were like, alright, cool, let's just split Secret Wars into 2 parts. Disney finally agreed, but on one condition. It only happens if the reception or response for Doomsday is actually good. Now, the Russos were getting what they wanted, so everything seemed chill, but there's a tiny glitch here. If they literally sit around waiting for Doomsday reviews to roll in, they won't even be able to start working on Secret Wars, because shooting a movie is one thing, but splitting it into 2 parts means the writing has to be perfectly paced for that. The cast needs to be locked in accordingly, they need to know exactly where the first movie ends and the second begins. And the biggest nightmare? You have to sit down with this gigantic cast and renegotiate all their contracts. We're talking money talks, a whole mountain of paperwork. So if they just sit waiting for Doomsday's response, the Secret Wars production won't even get off the ground. And if that doesn't happen, what exactly are you going to release in a year? So they realize they can't just wait for the movie to drop to check the hype. I mean, they aren't Netflix, right? So they cooked up these 4 trailers specifically to act as hype checkers, and they planned it super smart. If you look at the Steve Rogers trailer, the potential was grand scale. Like when that whole chair fiasco happened, we didn't get a single glimpse of Chris Evans' Steve Rogers. They had the perfect opening to drop a massive cinematic trailer that felt totally epic, but they kept it incredibly low-key, just a normal guy living his day-to-day life. Then the Thor trailer they made was also super simple, basically just writing on dialogues and a monologue. Then, since the X-Men didn't have that much crazy hype, they tossed them a dope little massive moment to boost their appeal, and with Wakanda they kept things super simple too. Now here is the real head-scratcher. They already blew the lid off the Steve Rogers reveal, right? So why didn't they show the other superheroes or characters who are in this movie but haven't been announced? I mean, no Doctor Strange, no Spider-Man, no Hulk, no Loki? Fact is, they literally announced Loki during that chair event. And if there is any character in the MCU who has made the biggest universe-altering changes, it's Loki. I mean, creating the multiverse and changing its rules makes him the most essential character in the MCU right now. A dude whose decisions dictate literally everything. Anyway, after those 4 trailers dropped, you know where my theory got its ultimate confirmation? When Marvel posted that thank you video. They posted thank you for 1 billion views, which Marvel literally never does. As far as I know, this is the first time Marvel pulled that move. And that completely confirmed my theory, because they wanted to see exactly how much hype this whole thing generates, especially when they are not even trying. Like they generated all that hype without building up a single massive cinematic moment. If they had shown something at the Super Bowl, I'd be like, okay, maybe these things are connected. But since we got complete radio silence, it pretty much proves they just wanted to run a heat check on the movie's hype and figure out how to milk it going forward. And right after that, word hit the streets that Secret Wars, which was supposed to start shooting ASAP, is now stuck in this conditional start situation, which basically means the movie was supposed to start rolling, but situations popped up preventing them from actually starting. And that only happens, like I said in Roast Fest 2, when some massive foundational changes are being made to a movie. And personally, I think it's because they are splitting it into two parts. So long story short, they dropped the Doomsday trailers purely to check the hype. They realize the hype is crazy good, so now Secret Wars won't be one, but two movies. And that is exactly why everyone's contracts are put on hold, because they're making changes to sign them for two movies instead of one, which completely flips the filming and pre-production schedules. So let's talk about why this is even happening. Like, what's the biggest reason behind doing all this? Secret Wars itself is the biggest reason. If you've read the 2015 Secret Wars run written by Jonathan Hickman or experienced it, then you might be knowing what an absolute masterpiece of a story it is, and cramming that into a single movie is literally impossible. I mean, the Doomsday storyline is going to be pretty straightforward. The prequel story we saw before Secret Wars, Time Runs Out, that is basically going to be Avengers Doomsday. The exact same treatment the Russos gave Thanos is what they'll give Dr. Doom. I'm not talking character-wise, I'm talking about his screen presence. Every scene we saw Thanos in, he was actively engaging, actively hunting the stones. We'll see something exactly like that with Dr. Doom too. And because of that, just like Infinity War was Thanos' movie, Doomsday will be Dr. Doom's movie. But that vibe is only going to last until Doomsday, because in Secret Wars Part 1, things will completely flip.
Let me explain how. Avengers Endgame was a super simple story. Just bring back the people who got dusted. But here with Secret Wars, it ain't gonna be that simple, because at the end of it, Dr. Doom literally rewrites the entire frickin' world. He creates a Battleworld, which is an entirely different reality of its own. You can't just slap on a 5 years later, the world is changed, yada yada. That is not how Battleworld works. Battleworld is going to have its own new characters, new areas. This world is going to be wildly different from the 616 universe we're watching right now. The power dynamics there will be different. Characters will have their own crazy ideologies, and above all that, they will all follow Dr. Doom as their literal god. So this entire world, all its characters, their backgrounds, their introductions, all of that demands its own dedicated movie. If you try to cram all these characters, show Battleworld, and spit out the conclusion and resolution all in one single movie, it would just feel like, did this even happen? Like the gravity of it wouldn't hit hard at all. Look at it this way. In Infinity War, Thanos snapped people away. In Endgame, they time traveled, stopped Thanos, and brought everyone back. Because of that, the actual gravity of Thanos dusting all those people didn't hit as heavy, because ultimately he just brought them all back anyway. Walking out of Endgame, the thing people still remember today isn't Thanos or his crusade, it's I am Iron Man. And you cannot do that same thing with Battleworld. It is a completely different beast in itself. So, Doomsday is Time Runs Out, where you explain the incursions and all the superheroes jump into a desperate race to stop them, fighting for the survival of their planets and universes. After that, in Secret Wars Part 1, you reveal Battleworld. You explain it, show what's going down there, which heroes, variants, anti-heroes, and villains are running around. What kind of beef do these guys have with each other? And Marvel isn't just cashing in on splitting this into two parts. If they handle the projects that drop in between these movies smartly and set them inside Battleworld, they can totally capitalize on the Secret Wars Part 1 hype and make even more bank off those interim movies. Like, for example, Black Panther 3 is almost confirmed. Ryan Coogler said he's writing it, and there's a role being written for Denzel Washington. If this movie gives us a new T'Challa, which we might even see in Doomsday, and then his story continues in Secret Wars Part 1 and then Black Panther 3, they could totally set that in Battleworld. It'll still be Wakanda, just a little twisted. It'll still be T'Challa, just a little different. By showing everything with minor tweaks and variations, they can drop some insane cameos, and that would build massive hype for Black Panther 3 too. And you know what? Marvel could use this to gauge the hype of the actor playing the new T'Challa. If the audience eats it up, he becomes the main T'Challa of the Prime Universe after Secret Wars Part 2. And by the way, Marvel has 4 movie dates reserved for 2028. Black Panther could easily take that February slot, then the May-June release, man, my lips are literally quivering even saying it,
Blade. I mean, I know that is not going to happen, but still, the date is there, so it could be dropped. Besides that, if they feel like it, they can crank out Doctor Strange 3 or Thor 5, which are both heavily rumored. Or Marvel could just easily scrap one of the dates entirely if they already have 3 movies lined up for that year, like Black Panther 3, plus either Thor 5, Doctor Strange 3, or Blade. And obviously, Secret Wars Part 2 is closing it out. Yeah, an X-Men movie is in the works, but I don't think Marvel is going to drop the X-Men inside Battleworld. I mean, they would want to establish a brand new, younger X-Men roster. Their game plan should be to introduce the new X-Men on a clean slate after Battleworld and Secret Wars wrap up. But doing all this means Marvel needs not 1, but 2 massive cliffhangers. The first one for Doomsday, because after that Infinity War moment we saw, it's almost set in stone what's going to happen. Dr. Doom is going to build his world, and that is exactly where Doomsday ends and Secret Wars begins. But if you want to hype for Secret Wars 2 to be off the charts, you have to end Part 1 on an absolutely massive note. Here's what's in my head. So you see, I said for Doomsday, Dr. Doom will be front and center. It's his story and he's actively doing everything like Thanos. But then in Secret Wars, he's going to take a back seat. Like in the comic books, when Doom creates Battleworld, it has all these different districts. They're run by governors called barons. They have their own rivalries, they play dirty politics, and a bunch of wild stuff happens. So they can totally show this in Secret Wars Part 1. Dr. Doom has already reached God status, so he doesn't need to be micromanaging everywhere. So this whole thing can climax with a massive war-like sequence, where the surviving heroes who still remember the past, or like in the comics, they just go full rebellion mode, demand a fight with Doom. Then Doom's goons, the barons, show up, and a massive brawl breaks out. There's an absolutely ultimate moment in the comics where T'Challa pulls up with the Infinity Gauntlet, you got the Annihilation Wave, Ultron robots, Marvel zombies, literally everything shows up, except Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom is the one who is waiting for the very last moment. And that moment, I won't completely spoil it, but it's this moment where God Emperor Doom is literally looking down at everything, and it suddenly strikes him like, oh shit, I actually have to go down there. And that is exactly what I want to see in this movie. He's a literal god, but even he feels a tiny bit of fear. When he finally hits the battlefield, everyone realizes they are totally screwed. An absolutely brutal fight breaks out. Thanos steps to him, and everyone knows what he does to Thanos. Then he just starts wiping the floor with the other superheroes too.
And then there's a huge Doctor Strange twist that they might actually pull off in this movie. They can seriously play around with Stranger's character, like making him look like a good guy in Doomsday, and then revealing at the end that he was working for Dr. Doom all along. And then, at the climax of Secret Wars Part 1, the final rug pull. He wasn't actually bad. He wasn't just working for Doom. He was actually acting as a triple agent for all the superheroes. But bro, the value of this entire moment has to hit way harder than the Doomsday moment. Like in Infinity War, we got shocked, but ultimately we knew everyone would come back. But here, they gotta rip away that safety net. Kind of like when Professor X dies in X-Men The Last Stand, or when Jack Sparrow dies at the end of Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest. You get that gut-wrenching feeling that the safety net is gone. Now anything is possible, and who is even left to save them? The one character that pops into my head for that is Steve Rogers. If they actually let Dr. Doom murder Steve Rogers in Avengers Secret Wars Part 1, everything will change. Bro, I am getting goosebumps just yapping about this. The hype for the next part, it will be epic. Like we wouldn't even be able to wait for it. I'm telling you. Anyway, man, I am getting way too ahead of myself. As I keep yapping, I just keep on talking, and then later I realize, bro, what did I even just say? None of this is even happening. But whatever, we'll find out eventually. But at this moment, I just had this crazy excitement inside me about Secret Wars. Look, I know we haven't covered the Secret Wars comics yet. I've got special plans for it. We'll start talking about it once we get over this entire Doomsday hype thing. I want to know what you guys think about all this. I'll catch you in the next one. Ta-ta.